Good morning, children. Today in Social Science and Civics Class 9, we'll take up Drafting Committee and Constituent Assembly. Now, in 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders had drafted a constitution for India. We had not become independent at that time. And in 1931, at the Karachi session, the leaders decided how the constitution should look like. And some of the important topics that were discussed at that time were, number one, universal adult franchise, which we did not have. Secondly, right to freedom and equality, and right of minorities, and many other important topics also. Now, our leaders were greatly inspired by the ideals of the French Revolution, the Socialist Revolution, parliamentary democracy in Britain, and the Bill of Rights in the US also. So some basic principles were already decided, and then a drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who altogether sat together and they prepared a draft for the discussion. They completed the draft in 114 days, spread over 3 years, which included very important members like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Abul Kalam Azad, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, H.C. Mukherjee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the chairman of the committee, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and Sarojini Naidu. Now, there were 299 members who wrote the Indian Constitution. More than 2,000 constitutional amendments were made. And every document presented and every word spoken in the Constitutional Assembly has been recorded and preserved, known as Constitutional Assembly debates. And these debates have been printed in 12 bulky volumes and are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution. That means they are able to elaborate on that. This is an unusual achievement for the Indian Constitution on the world stage. We finally were able to make a constitution, and it represented people of India, and it was dominated by the Indian National Congress and represented by members from different groups, like different language groups were there, castes, classes, religions, and occupations. It worked in a very systematic and open manner with mutual consent, which gave sacred quality to the Constitution, and at the same time, keeping the future in mind, they also made a provision for the constitutional amendments. That means in the future, some modification that was required, that could be made possible through a proper procedure. Now we move on to the preamble. Now, in the preamble is actually it is the soul of the Indian Constitution, or in other words, one can say that it is the introduction to the Constitution. Now, we need to understand a few of these words, like we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. We'll take up we the people of India. That means we are the people. So the Constitution has been drawn up and enacted by the people of India, by the representatives. So that is number one. Number two, sovereign. Now, when we use the word sovereign, it means that India is an independent country. It is a free country. We are not dominated by any other foreign power. No foreign power or external power can dictate terms to us. We are free in internal and external matters. Then another word that has been used in the preamble is a socialist. Socialist, which means wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally. Then secular, which is a very commonly used term. We have no official religion in our country. All religions are treated with equal respect by the government. There is no religion that is superior or there is no religion that is inferior. Every religion has the same amount of respect in our country. Democratic, that is another term. We have adopted a form of government in which people elect rulers and hold them accountable by means of the elections that are held every 5 years. Then republic is another important term. The head of the state is an elected person. It is not a system of hereditary. It is not a hereditary position that we have in our country. Then we have another word, that is justice. That is, there is no discrimination There is no discrimination among the citizens on the basis of caste, religion, gender in the government. And the government works for the welfare of all the people. In fact, more stress is laid on the people who are poor and the oppressed so that the social inequalities are reduced and minimized. Another important term is liberty. Liberty, that means the freedom that people enjoy in a country. That means the freedom to express one's thoughts and opinions. There is no unreasonable restriction on their liberty. So that is a very important important freedom given to the people. Then equality. That means all people in the country, whether they are rich or poor, educated or illiterate, everybody has the same, man or woman. All citizens are treated the same. They are equal, and in matters of law as well, there is equality maintained. And another important term is a fraternity. That means each citizen should respect the feeling of brotherhood. We all belong to the same country. We all belong to the same nation. Therefore, it becomes of great importance to all of us that we are able to have this feeling of trust and respect for each other in the country. So when we take up the preamble, it is the soul of the Indian Constitution and an introduction. And we the people of India have solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and so on. Then there's justice also in matters of social, economic, and political matters. Liberty of thought is there, equality of status is there, and equal opportunities are given to all people alike. Then fraternity, the feeling of oneness, the dignity of the individual is also maintained, and the integrity of the nation also. And this is what was there in the preamble, that is in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. So in 1949 November, 26th November that is, it was prepared, but at the same time it came into effect. It came into effect on the 26th of January 1950. So that is important to understand, that we in our country have adopted this constitution. We have this preamble to the constitution also, and it is respected by all. That is, even today there is respect, and there is nobody who has questioned it. We have provision for the amendment also. So this is a very important, you can say, the rules that are framed, that are followed by everybody, every single individual in the country. So that is what we need to understand. So we had discussed about Africa earlier on, that how there was this system of apartheid over there, where Nelson Mandela played a very important role in removing that, and for that, for 28 years, he was in prison, but he fought against the whites because there was discrimination on the basis of color, on the skin color, and the whites had dominated over them for years and years. Finally, after 28 years, he was released, and finally then they became independent as well. And then the best part of it was that they overlooked all the atrocities, all the cruelty that had been inflicted on the blacks by the white people. They wanted to forget all that. They wanted to start afresh, and at the same time, they also wanted a multiracial government to be formed over there. So they also framed their constitution, and which became applicable in 1996. Thank you.